Why are people leaving the villages in Florida? Because they realize that they want a retirement that gives them actual peace of mind. So if you want peace of mind, instead of waking up to anonymous violation letters from your neighbors, or sweating through a humid summer where the air literally feels like soup, or realizing that you're 61 years old, but you've accidentally moved into what feels like a medical waiting room, you need to hear this. Because everyone tells you about the free golf, right? Nobody tells you about the exit plan and why hundreds, maybe even thousands of people are quietly packing their bags to escape what they thought was paradise. I'm Jason, by the way. I retired early at 39. I escaped the whole corporate grind thing, and now I spend my time just, living on my own terms. And right now, I'm in Cambodia. And my wife and I are spending 5 months traveling through Asia this whole winter. Just living, No alarm clocks, no boss breathing down my back, no HOA rules or special assessments, just this. But my friends Mike and Sarah, they aren't free. Mike's 61, he retired early, just like I did. But he bought into the dream down in the villages down in Florida. And last week, he told me something that honestly chilled me to the bone. He said, Jason, I feel like I'm living in the Truman Show and I can't find the exit. Let me tell you about Mike and Sarah. They used to live in our neighborhood back in Indiana. Really solid people, smart with money. Mike worked in logistics. Sarah was a teacher. And they grounded it out for decades, just like most people do. And the reward, the villages, the so-called Disney World for seniors. And they moved down there like 4 years ago. And at first, it was the honeymoon phase. I saw all their Facebook posts, margarita nights in the town square, cruising around in their custom golf cart, the whole deal. They looked so happy. But slowly, the post stopped. I got on the phone with Mike recently, and he's only 61. Still has lots of energy, And he sounded, defeated, I guess is the word. He said, Jason, we're leaving. We've made a terrible mistake. And here's the reality that they don't put in the brochure. First off, there's this illusion of ownership. You pay $500,000 for a house, but you don't really own it. The community development districts and these deed compliance officers, it turns out that they do. Mike told me about what he calls the blue door incident. See, Sarah, she wanted to paint their front door this specific shade of blue just to have some personality, in a sea of beige stucco houses that all look the same. Oh, request denied, not on the approved palette. Then Mike's son came to visit with the grandkids. They parked the rental car in the driveway, but because I guess driveways are so tight down there, that one tire was slightly on the decorative stones. Just barely. And they didn't get a visit from a friendly neighbor saying, hey, just a heads up. No. They got a violation notice. See, in the villages, there's this whole culture of what Mike calls the trolls. And these are bored residents who literally drive around with clipboards, actively looking for violations to report. Your grass is too high, reported. You've got a little garden gnome that's not approved, that's reported too. And Mike said to me, and I'll never forget this, he said, I spent 30 years answering to a CEO. I didn't retire to answer to a guy named Bob with a clipboard. The whole situation just creates this low-level paranoia, that you aren't neighbors anymore. You're suspects. Real quick though, I went from trading my life away for a paycheck to living on my own terms with $1 million and the world is my office by 39. If you want the same freedom, you should subscribe to this channel right now. I break down the exact strategies that actually work and the brutal reality of what early retirement demands from you. Because honestly, you need both to escape the trap and to actually stay free. And look, the rules are annoying, sure, but they're not dangerous. What's actually dangerous is what happened to Sarah last month. There's a healthcare reality in these boomtown retirement zones that nobody calculates until they're in the back of an ambulance. And I'll tell you that story in just a second. But first, let's talk about the environment stuff. See, Mike and Sarah are from Indiana, right? They're used to having seasons, like actual seasons. And in Central Florida, you've got 2 seasons, crowded and hell. From November to April, the weather's nice, but the population explodes. You can't get a reservation for dinner anywhere. The traffic, and I'm talking about golf cart traffic here, is insane. So let me ask you guys something, and I want you to be honest in the comments. Would you rather live in a community that is strictly 55 plus, where everyone's your age? Or do you prefer a neighborhood with a mix? Young families, kids playing, teenagers, older folks? Let me know down below. All right, so in Florida, then comes the summer. The snowbirds leave and the heat just, well, it sets in. And Mike said to me, Jason, you don't understand. You walk outside at 8 a.m. and your glasses fog up immediately. And then comes the bugs. This was actually Sarah's breaking point. Florida has these things called palmetto bugs. And let's be real, they're flying giant cockroaches the size of your thumb. Sarah woke up one night and there's one crawling on the ceiling above her bed and she screamed. Mike jumped up and the thing flew, like actually flew right at them. She didn't sleep for 2 nights after that. So you've got the heat, the bugs, the summer storms, and then there's the social pressure. And actually, now that I think about it, this might be the weirdest part. There's this weird competitive thing happening down there. People are constantly one-upping each other with their golf cart decorations, their club memberships, their social calendars. Mike said it felt like high school all over again. He told me, Jason, I thought we were escaping the rat race. Turns out we just joined a different one. Oh, and another thing, the hidden costs. Remember how they advertise no property taxes for the villages? I guess that's technically true for some properties, but it's misleading as hell. You've got bond fees for the community development districts. You've got amenity fees. You've got HOA fees. Mike's paying like $400 a month in fees on top of everything else. And those fees, they keep going up. In the golf, the free golf that they advertise, yeah, that's only at executive courses, which are shorter and easier. If you want to play championship courses, the nice ones that you see in all the promotional videos, you're paying a lot. But honestly, the money stuff, the bugs, the heat, Mike said that they could have lived with all that. What they couldn't live with was the feeling of being trapped. See, what happens when you're in the villages, you're isolated. You're in the middle of Central Florida, surrounded by highways and commercial zones. There's no real culture nearby, no walkable downtown, no diversity of any kind. I mean, Mike said that everyone looks the same, they talk the same, think the same. It's like living in a bubble. And because it's a monoculture of elderly people, the healthcare system is crushed. Sarah has a heart arrhythmia. It's manageable, but she needs a good cardiologist. And she tried to get an appointment within the village's health system. The wait time was months. The doctors are overwhelmed. It seems it's just a volume game. She had an episode recently where her heart rate spiked and they didn't feel comfortable going to the local center. So they drove 90 minutes to Orlando to see a specialist. 90 minutes. And Mike told me, we moved here to be safe, but driving my wife down I-75 while she's clutching her chest because the local doctors are booked solid, that's not safe. And that was the moment that the dream died. Plus, Sarah missed her grandkids. They were up in Indiana, and flights from Orlando, they're not cheap. And the drive from the villages to the airport, that's over an hour. So visits became less frequent and more complicated. Sarah told Mike one day, I feel like we moved to a place where we're supposed to be happy, but I've never felt more alone. And that hit me hard when Mike shared that with me. So here's what they're doing now. They're selling a house, taking a small loss because, of course, the market softened a bit, and they're moving back to Indiana. Not to their old neighborhood that we live in, but to a smaller town 20 minutes from their grandkids. And Mike said that we chased someone else's dream, Jason. We forgot to ask ourselves what we wanted. And you know what? I get it. I really do. Thankfully, before I retired, I had this vision of what I wanted my life to look like, right? That meant being free and traveling like we're doing now. But before that, I had to unlearn a lot of programming. See, society tells you that retirement means golf courses and gated community and a specific type of lifestyle. But actual freedom, It's about designing a life that fits you, not squeezing your life into someone else's idea of paradise. Right now, my wife and I are in Cambodia, spending about $2,000 a month on everything. It's housing, food, travel, experiences. We're living in a culture that's completely different from what I'm used to. I learn new things every day, and Darby gets to spend an entire month with her family here. Why would we lock ourselves into one place with a bunch of rules when the whole world is out there? I'm not saying that the villages is bad for everyone, or that traveling like we do is right for everyone. I'm sure some people love living in the villages, and they thrive in that environment. But for Mike and Sarah, and for hundreds of others who are quietly leaving, it wasn't the dream that they were sold. So if you're thinking about retirement, whether it's the villages or anywhere else, here's my advice. Visit for an extended period first. Rent for a few months. Experience the summer, not just the glossy winter months where everything looks perfect. Talk to people who have lived there for years, not just the ones who moved in 6 months ago and are still in that honeymoon phase. And most importantly, ask yourself, does this place give me actual freedom, or is it just another set of rules and expectations? Because retirement should be about liberation, not relocation to a prettier cage. Mike told me something at the end of our call that really stuck with me. He said, Jason, we spent 30 years working towards freedom, and then we signed it away for a golf cart and some margaritas. Don't make that mistake. If you want to learn how to build real freedom, the kind where you control your time, your money, your choices, stick around. I share everything I've learned about early retirement and escaping the system, and about designing a life that actually works for you. Not the life some marketing brochure tells you want, your life. Want more retirement insights? Watch this next. Seriously, thank you guys so much for watching. These videos only exist because of viewers like you. I'll see you in the next one.